ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Guru Sahib ji. Right, before we get started, let's just all sit up straight, close our eyes, and then we'll do 5 mool mantras together. So Satnam Sri Vaheguru Sahib ji. Ik oankar Satnam Karta Purkh Nirbhau Nirvair Akal Mੂਰਤ Ajuni Saibhang Gur Prasad Jap ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. So Sangat ji, we're blessed to be here in the company of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. And you know, sometimes we might take that for granted, but something that I've been contemplating on and I've been saying in most of my talks recently, that, you know, Maharaj chose each and every single one of us to be here today. We didn't come here on our own accord. Maharaj chose us specifically to be here today. And there's obviously a reason for that. It's either you guys, there's a reason for you guys hearing the talk, and there's a reason for me giving the talk as well when I was doing my own little research on this. Now, today we're blessed to carry on going through the Saloks of Salok Mahalla Nava, and we're going to be going through Pauri number 22 to 26. And, you know, sometimes, you know, lots of other speakers, they've said, you know, this is my favorite Bani, and to be honest, it's not my favorite Bani at all, right? And the reason for that is because it's so hard-hitting, right? It's so hard-hitting, and it's just a proper chapir across the face sometimes. And you know what? Sometimes you need that chapir. So in a way, I don't like it, but at the same time, you have to hear it, and we have to keep reminding ourselves of the teachings of Salok Mahalla Nava to break down that ego that we have, right? Now, just before we get started, a question for you guys is, what is the challenges you face in your Sikhi journey, and why are you on the Sikhi journey or on the path itself? So if anyone wants to volunteer, they can volunteer. If no one volunteers, I'm going to start picking on people. Any show of hands? Right. Benji? Yeah. Yeah, to go in the Sharan of Guruji, yeah. And what is some difficulties that you're facing? Yeah, everyday life. Yeah. Yeah, to overcome the Panch Jor. We go through that battle every single day. Singh, how about you? Harveer? Yeah. Yeah, that's the one I'm struggling with at the moment as well. Waking up for Amrit Villa and then concentrating on the Bani that we're, you know, reading or listening to, Now, some of these, everyone has lots of thoughts and stuff like that. And when I was going through the research of Salok Mahalla Nava, you'll realize that all of us have a struggle, and the best way to overcome that struggle is to be real with yourself and be honest with yourself. And any struggle that you're going through, be honest with yourself of why do you think you're going through that struggle, and then write down what is the main things that will help you overcome that struggle. And then you just focus on those things. Now, before we get started into the talk, we've gone through this before in previous talks. I'm just going to take a little slight different approach to it, and it's understanding the system. Now, when we hear Ik Onkar, most of the time the translations or just the Aam Banda, they'll say that means one God, one universal creator or something like that, right? But in fact, the one God part is the Ik in Ik Onkar. So the one is the one that means the undifferentiated consciousness. That is the oneness. That is the Ik. That then when he had a desire to create a sound, Om, which then created all of creation, which created God. Yeah? And when he made that sound, all this creation was created. All this Maya, all this illusion that you see around you was created. And the way Guru Gobind Singh Ji describes this He says, Khel khel akhel khilan, ant ko phir ek. That after this whole play, this whole creation has played itself out, it's going to go back to that one. Right? And then in this Bani called Pachitra Natak, which is an autobiography that Guru Gobind Singh Ji wrote themselves, and in that they had a conversation with Vaiguruji. And in that conversation, one part of that conversation was, Main ho param purkh ko dasa, dekhan ayo jagat tamasha. That he hasn't come here to just be engrossed in this play, in this tamasha. He's just come to dekhan ayo jagat tamasha. I've just come to watch this tamasha take place. So put your hands up if you ever played Monopoly before. Everyone's played Monopoly, right? Now, when you're playing Monopoly, you get so engrossed in that game, right? To the point where you even start having arguments with your family members, innit? Right? You get so engrossed into that game, you think you're part of that game. You think you are the big shot landlord in there, innit? And then, but what Guruji is saying here, they're describing this whole jagat, this whole world, as just a tamasha. It's just a show. Yeah? It's just a drama, like how our grandmas and mums watch on TV, yeah? It's just a tamasha. And in that tamasha, we're just here to watch it play out. We're not here to get engrossed. You know, some people like to play PlayStation, some people like to play or have their favorite TV show. You get so engrossed in that TV show, you start saying, oh, why didn't he do this? I want him to be like this. He shouldn't have said this. And you get so engrossed into it. You know, when I was playing PlayStation, I'll be playing for hours and hours, and then I'll be thinking I'm in the game, right? And then until your mum then calls you to say dinner's ready, and then you kind of snap out of it, and you start to say, oh, hang on, I'm not in the game, I'm just playing the game. And that's what Guru Gobind Singh Ji here is reminding us. And that, my mum who has snapped me out of it, that's what the Guru's here to do. They're here to snap us out of being engrossed in this tamasha that's taking place, and realize that we're just here to watch the tamasha play out, all right? And I saw this in a podcast, and it's just the perfect way to explain the purpose of why we're here. And the way he described it was that this planet is like a university. And it's our chance in this life that we're in now for our spiritual progression. Yeah? Does that make sense? That in this life, we're here to gain and build our spiritual progression. And it's our chance in this human technology, we call this body, to experience Vaiguruji. We're not here just to believe in God, yeah, because belief is a doubt. We're here to experience God. And to see that one in this whole tamasha taking place, where in this whole tamasha, everything looks different, yeah? This person, this religion, that religion, he's this caste, he's a male, female, he's black, he's white. We're here to see Sab Meh Jyot, Jyot Hai Soe. That oneness, that light inside of everybody in everything around us, right? And the way we do that is through the teachings of the Satguru. It's really that simple. Guru Granth Sahib Ji, who has the techniques, who has the teachings on how we can then snap out and experience that oneness through seva, simran, and keeping our red, right? And when that tamasha was created, when that whole drama started with Satyug. Now, I don't want to confuse a lot of people, so I'm going to go over this really briefly, but there's 4 ages. The first age is Satyug, then it was Treta, then Dwapar, and now we're in Kaljug, okay? And in each Jug, in each age, there was a spiritual guide that guided the people onto the right path in experiencing that oneness inside of everyone. The first Jug was Satyug, which is known as the Golden Age, where it went on for about 1.8 million years. And in this Jug, righteousness was on all 4 legs, okay? And that righteousness was made up of truthful living, sata, tapa, disciplining the mind, yog, feeding everybody, and then dan, which is doing charity, right? Having nishkam, which means doing something without anything in return, pretty much, right? And then you had Treta, which went on for 1.2 million years. But then what happened is, when you go through each age, each one leg of Dharam then leaves. So in this case, there's only 3 legs of Dharam left, which was Tap, Yog, and Dan. Then you had Dwapar, which many of us might have heard of Mahabharat. So Mahabharat, this is the start of Mahabharat, Dwapar Yog, all right? and then only 2 legs of dharma standing. So imagine a table of righteousness, and each leg has fallen off now. There's only 2 left. Can that table stay standing? It can't, can it? It's fallen over now. And there's only charity, and there's only dhan. There's only charity, and there's only feeding all. And then this is the start of Mahabharat, and then you have the Yog that we're in now, which is Kal Yug, the age of darkness, you could say. And this is when the end of Mahabharat ends, and then the start of Kal Yug begins. Okay? And this Yog is supposed to go on for about 432,000 years. And we're only about 6,000 years into it. And you can imagine that that's not really a long time compared to how much is left. And if you imagine how crazy the world is right now, how much darkness is in the world, how even if you just talk about Waheguru just for a little bit, nobody wants to hear about it. And now in this age, we have Guru Nanak Dev Ji. In this age, we need the true Guru, we need the Satguru, Waheguru themselves to come down in the form of Guru Nanak Dev Ji to help us stay on the right track. Because Kal Yug is up here, and our spiritual progression is down here. And we have to keep up with Kal Yug, and if we don't, then Kal Yug is just going to take us into the darkness, pretty much. And they're going to basically help us from drowning in this whole tamasha. Now, the first pankti is Jo Prani Mamata Taja Lobh Moh Ahankar. So Jo Prani, that human, that mortal, you could say, that person with the breath of life inside of them, yeah, Mamata Taja Lobh Moh Ahankar. Mamata is like, you know when you say meri main, you know, like hom main basically, right? The one that gets rid of their lobh, moh, ahankar, and he just lets it go. Maharaj says, Kaho Nanak apan tara auran let udar. Not only are you going to be able to save yourself in this situation, you're going to auran let udar. You're going to actually end up saving other people along the way on your journey. And a lot of the time, you might have noticed it in yourselves, anyone that's taken Amrit, is if you come from like a non-Amritari background, like myself and many others that are here today, you change, you take Amrit, you start waking up for Amritavilla, you start bringing in the good qualities, and then you start noticing the effect on your family members as well. Yeah? Like, for example, I know like one of my friends and even my own family, they've taken Amrit, and then maybe their fathers probably stopped smoking. Or, you know, somebody's, their mum's wearing a patka now, doing part, waking up for Amritavilla. And any time, then you are a bit tille in your red, you're a bit, you know, you're not taking it a little bit seriously, you know, you're not doing your nityanim, you're not waking up for Amritavilla, you then start seeing the effect on those people as well. So that's what this pankti is basically saying. Now, how does Maharaj save us? And how they save us is pretty much waking us up. And you're probably thinking, waking us up from what? And this is the whole theme of today's talk pretty much, is that they're waking us up from this dream that's taking place right in front of our eyes right now, sitting here. Maharaj says, Jio supana arapekhana aise jag ko jaan. Yeah? Jio supana. Supana, what does supana mean? Dream, right? Maharaj is saying, Jio supana arapekhana aise jag ko jaan. This whole world, before Guru Nanak Dev Ji, I just described it as a tamasha, right? Here, Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji, he's describing this whole game, you could say, as a dream now. He's using a different metaphor. And in this dream, what we're here to do? Pekhana. We're here to be the pekhana. That means we're here to just witness that dream. You know when you dream, when you go to sleep, there's always something that's watching the dream. There's something that's watching the dream, and there's a witness to that dream. But when we dream, sometimes it feels like we're not dreaming. Sometimes when we're asleep and we're having a dream, it feels like that is actually our reality. Sometimes we had a dream so bad, sometimes we're thinking, how can I get myself in this situation? But Maharaj saying, we have to live our lives and be the witness to that dream. It's like when you're watching this talk right now, you're seeing the screen, or when you're at home watching a movie, you know that there's a separation between you and the TV, right? You know that you're sitting there, you're being the witness to that movie. In the same way, we're supposed to live our lives as bekana, as living our life as witnessing this whole dream taking place in front of us. Just like how Guru Gobind Singh Ji said, Dekhan ayo jagat tamasha. We're not here to get engrossed. We're just here to just watch this dream take place. But there's a few people out there that are fully conscious. People that are fully conscious and are able to be that witness to this dream that's taking place. What that means is that there's 3 avasthas, right? And the first avastha is Jagrati. And Jagrati basically means being awake, being alert, just like how we're awake right now. The second one is Supan. Supan is in that dream, taking that dream and, when you're actually going to sleep and you dream about something, that's what Supan is. And you think that that dream is true sometimes, right? And then you got Sakopat. Sakopat basically means a deep sleep. A deep sleep where you have a dreamless sleep. Anyone that's ever drank before, you'll know that when people black out, what happens? 1 minute they're at the pub having a drink, next minute they're just in their bed. That's what you call being in a Sakopat state, where you literally just black out. Sometimes you might feel like you've just fallen asleep watching Netflix or something. Next minute, your alarm's waking you up, and you don't know what happened. That's what that means. And then you have something called Turiya. Turiya is going beyond all 3 of these states. It's not actually one of the stages. And that's something that's constantly there at all times. It's being conscious at all times about your surroundings, and everything you're doing, everything you're saying, everything you're seeing, you're conscious to that at all times. And that's what we refer to as the witness. That's what we consider the one that is bekana. Now, we can actually experience that now if we try. So again, if we just want to sit up straight again, close our eyes, and we're going to meditate on Om. Okay? And we're all going to say it together. Om. 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 And you see in that silence, after we say Om, that is where the Turiya Avastha is. That's where that Turiya is, where you're being a witness to everything. You're being present right here, right now. In that situation, you don't care about what's happening in the past. You don't care about what's happening in the future. It's being present at all times, every day, every single second of the day. Literally, what's happening right now is what matters. What happened before you got here doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't exist. What happens in the future doesn't matter, because that doesn't exist yet either. The only thing that matters is being in that Turiya, being that witness, being present at all times. But instead of living our lives in that Turiya, being that witness in this whole dream taking place, there's a famous Sakhi by Bhagat Ravidas ji, and Bhagat ji says, Narpat ek singhasan soya supane paya pikhari. And they say Narpat. Narpat means a king. Ek singhasan soya. Meaning that this king, he fell asleep on his singhasan, on his throne. Right? And supane paya pikhari. And he started dreaming that he was a beggar. So he started thinking that he's this beggar in his dream. And because he wasn't being the bekana, he started getting into this whole panic mode, like how some of us might have gone before, where we've had a dream and we think, how have I got myself in this situation? I never thought I could be in this situation. Why is this happening to me? The same way, this king, he was in a similar situation, and he started thinking that he was actually this beggar, when really he's the king that just fell asleep. Huh? And because he wasn't watching the dream, he thought he was that beggar. And then Maharaj says, Achat Raj bichrat dukh paya sogat pai hamari. Saying, Achat Raj. Now he was asleep, thinks he's a beggar, but his kingdom is still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. So he's actually still the king, but he's dreaming that he's the beggar. And then this is where it hits, sogat pai hamari. Forget the dream, forget the king and his dream. The dream that we're living in right now, right here, that's the state we're in as well. We're that king as well. As silly as it might sound for that king to go to sleep and then think of being a beggar, we're in the exact same situation right now, where we're sleeping and we don't know who we really are, pretty much. Yeah. And Maharaj says, that's why Maharaj is saying, we are awake, we need to wake up right now. And they say, Jio supana pekhana, aise jag ko jaan. So that's why they're saying, this whole jagat you see around you, this whole world, be a pekhana to it, be a witness to it. And as silly as it is for that king to feel the pain in his dream, Guru Sahib saying our life is exactly the same pretty much. And just like in this life, we might feel, happy, we might feel sad, sometimes we might feel like, we've gained something, we've lost something. But if we treat every single moment like a dream, then we won't experience that dukh or sukh. We'll just be in that turiya at all times. And pretty much this blew my mind when I read this. Us waking up is actually when we die. When we leave this physical body, that's when we're going to be thinking, oh, it was just a dream. Just like when we've all gone to sleep and we've had a scary dream or anything like that, and we wake up in the morning and we think, oh, thank God for that. It was just a dream. When we leave and we die, we're going to wake up and snap out of it, and we're going to be thinking to ourselves, oh, why did I get angry in that situation? Why did I get upset? Why did I get annoyed at those small little situations I was in? Someone hit my car. I didn't even get the payout for it. And you get upset over these things. But when we leave our body, we're going to wake up. But what the greatest thing about Sikhi is that you're able to wake up now, in this life, while you're still alive as well. And the way we do that is by realizing the soul, realizing who we really are, which is the Atma, the Jyot inside of everybody. And only way we're going to get this internal peace is when we start to see this whole world as that dream that Maharaj is talking about here. And then they say, after Jio Supana Arapekhana, Aise Jag ko jaan, in main kach sacho nahi, Nanak bin Bhagavan. That in this dream, in this dream, kach sacho nahi, nothing is true in this dream. They're reminding us, nothing is true what you're seeing around you. Nanak bin Bhagavan, other than Bhagavan, other than Vaiguruji themselves. They're the only thing in this world that is true. Jo dise so chalanahar, lapate reho teh and andar. Just like something, whatever is seen, everything that you see is just going to pass away, pretty much. Batao seo jo lave ne tako haath na aave ke. It's like falling in love with a traveler. What's a traveler's job? A traveler's job is to travel. If you fall in love with that traveler and he leaves because his job is to travel, then what's going to happen to us? We're going to get upset. We're going to be heartbroken. In the same way, the only thing that is true is if we stay in that turiya that we were in. And we don't get attached to all of these things, and we don't get attached to this whole dream around us. Because the more we get attached to this dream, the more we're going to get hurt in the end. And the only thing that isn't going to come and go is Vaiguruji. Is that Turiya Avastha that we were in just moments ago. And sometimes we might get attached to people, we might get attached to their personalities. Some people, we get married to certain people, and we get married to people because of their certain personalities. And then, because they're not in a sense of, sage, they're not in a sense of complete stillness, and when that person then changes for the better, then the other person starts getting a bit upset. They're like, this isn't the person I fell in love with. I'm used to, having a drink with you. I'm used to going out partying with you, gossiping about other couples and stuff like that. But you're not even into any of that anymore. And because they attach themselves to something that wasn't true, they're heartbroken because that person's changed now. And they can't accept the change, so that's why it then pains that person. And that's why Maharaj says, In mein kach sacho nahi, nanak bin bhagwan. That the only thing that's true in this world is Vaheguruji. So don't attach yourselves to things or people that are not true, that are just fake within this whole dream taking place. Just attach yourselves to Vaheguruji. And then they say, Nis din maya karane prani dolat neet. Yeah? Nis din, night and day, maya karane. We're engrossed in this whole maya taking place around us. Prani dolat neet. And because we're engrossed in that dream, because we're engrossed in this illusion that's taking place, prani dolat neet. That human, or dol jandaya, he's constantly wavering. He's constantly falling. Because when we live in that dream as a reality, night and day, for the sake of Maya, our job, our money, our statuses, our hierarchy, to impress other people, because we're fixated in that and we're stuck in that, we're constantly wavering. We fall, and sometimes we're good, but sometimes, I've always said to people in my talks, take a small step at a time. Start with 5 minutes of Simran, 10 minutes of Simran, that's fine. Now, if everybody gets their phones out, you don't have to, and everyone just looks at their screen time, and then compare that to how much Simran you done today, or how much part you read today, then you'll realize that this pankti is literally hitting us right now. Yeah? Now, like I said, we're in this age of Kaljug, right? What I said earlier. And Kaljug is just getting stronger and stronger and stronger every single day. And if we don't catch up with Kaljug, and we think, all right, you know what, today I'm going to skip I'm going to skip doing my part, I'm going to skip doing my Simran, I'm going to keep slandering, I'm going to keep gossiping, then Kaljug is just going to get stronger and stronger, and then it's just going to take you over, pretty much. Yeah? And then Maharaj says, Kot mein nanak kau, Narayana jeh cheet. Now, someone that is connected to the truth, someone that is conscious at all times, there's only very few of those people. There's only very few. Jag mein uttama kadiya hai, virale kei ke. There's only very few of those people that are around, that are fully conscious. That's why it's so important to find Satta Sangat. Yeah? That's why it's so important to have Sangat around you that's connecting you to Vaheguruji. Okay? Now, the second thing that I thought about when I saw this was that rare are those that are connected to the truth. Yeah? We make up only about 0.4% of the world population. Yeah? We're only about 30 million in this whole world. We are those rare ones with the truth. We are actually the rare ones of society, of this world. We are literally the custodians of the Panth, of the world, that have the truth for the whole world to benefit from. And the sooner we realize that we have this truth, the sooner and the faster we'll snap out of this dream. Yeah? But it all has to start with trusting your Guru first. It all starts with getting to know who your Guru is. When you start to get to know who your Guru is, then you start to fall in love with that person. And when you fall in love with that person, then you'll do anything for that person to the point where you even die for that person. Like anyone that's got a partner here or anything like that, and you love that person so much, anything happens to that person, you'll do anything for them, innit? And in the same way, if we love our Guru, we'll do anything that they tell us to do. And the only thing they're trying to tell us to do is to snap out of this dream here that we're in. Isn't it? And then Maharaj says, Jaise jalate buddha buddha, upajay binase neet. Jaise, just like jal, water, te buddha buddha, bubbles. So just like bubbles of water, upajay, that appear, and then binase, and then they're gone again, neet. That this is constantly happening. That bubbles of water are constantly appearing, and then they're disappearing. 1 minute they're here, 1 minute they're gone. And it's just a cycle on repeat, just like that. Yeah? And as soon as something it just goes away, it's just like the bubbles appearing, going away. And then sometimes we find comfort in people, and then suddenly they're changing. We're thinking, 1 minute you're like this, another minute you're like this. I just can't keep up with you. You're just constantly changing. Next minute, you're into one thing, then you're into another thing, and then you're just like, you know what, I just can't work you out. I've had enough, like you're giving me a headache now. And Maharaj is saying, in the same, they are just like that, bubbles are appearing and going away, and this life and our thoughts are in the exact same way. Our thoughts are just like that, where we're in this constant cycles of thoughts just running through our brain again and again and again. We have one thought, that goes away, and then we have another thought. Or we have a thought, and then it leads to another thought. I mentioned this in one of my previous talks, that if you really want to empty your mind of these thoughts, you have to give yourself the time to sit in silence. You have to give the time to yourself, and you owe it to yourself to sit there and just sit there in silence and watch your thoughts. Just like we're talking about now, you're just watching your thoughts play out. You don't get attached to the thoughts. You're not going to try order your thoughts around saying, don't think about this instead. No. No matter how bad your thoughts are, you just keep watching them. And what you do is, just like two people having a conversation, your thoughts are just having a conversation, and you're going to be the third person just witnessing those thoughts. And when you do this, one thought enters and it leaves because you're just watching it. You're not attaching yourself to it. Another thought comes and it leaves. And sooner or later, it might happen in a day, might even happen in a week. Some people, it might happen in 6 months. All right? It could be even longer than that. But if you stay consistent with that, I've tried it for myself, it's actually working. Where all our lives, all we've been taking in is gandha every single day. Every single day we're just taking in rubbish, and we're not giving ourselves the time to then release those thoughts. And because we don't give we don't give ourselves the time to release those thoughts, that's when we start going a bit crazy. That's when we start getting anxiety. That's when we start getting stressed. And what's so beautiful about this Shabbat as well is that it reminded me that all these techniques that Maharaj is talking about, what Maharaj is promising us here is that all we have to do is jump onto Guruji's ship. Yeah? We just have to get onto their ship. And then Maharaj is driving the ship. That's the most beautiful thing about having a Satguru. You don't have to even worry about driving this ship that's going to carry you across this ocean. They're going to deal with that. But what you have to make sure you do is stay on the ship. He gives us the tools, and we just have to fulfill those. But what Maharaj doesn't promise is a stormless sea. But what he does promise is an unsinkable ship. And that's the amazing thing about having a Satguru. But then it's our choice whether or not we stay on that ship or not. And through the seva, the Simran, taking Amrit, keeping your rat, those are the tools to then stay on the ship. And when we forget about those things, and we're gossiping, we're slandering, we're doing all those things, then it's pretty much like Pirates of the Caribbean. We're walking the plank and we're jumping off the ship and doing a straight nosedive into the sea. Pretty much. And it's so beautiful to even have storm in your life. it's really good to have a bit of dukh in your life, right? I saw this beautiful video, and it was of these two guys, and there was a moth. And a moth also like traps himself in like a cocoon, and just like a butterfly, it comes out of the cocoon and stuff like that. And there was a little hole in the cocoon, and in that cocoon, the moth is struggling to get out. He's scratching and clawing his way out of this cocoon, and the guy is saying, I could easily help this moth, and literally slice a little cut in the cocoon, and then he will just release himself very easily. But the problem is, if I do that, when the moth goes out into nature, he's going to die straight away. Yeah? So that struggle that the moth is going through in that cocoon is strengthening himself for nature. It's nature's way of strengthening him to survive in his environment. So every single dukh that you're going through in this life, yeah, any sort of pain, any sort of sadness, whatever it may be, it has to happen to strengthen you for your life ahead, pretty much. And all you have to make sure is that if you stay on this ship, the Maharaj is going to make sure that, you know what, you're not going to let the dukh or the sukh affect you at all. You're just going to stay present at all times. You're not going to care about the past, and you're not going to care about the future either. And then Maharaj says, so Maharaj actually, this is another Shabad that reminded me of this, is that, you know when you come to like Kirtan programs as well, you come to a camp, you might go to like a talk like this, and you might feel like, you know, I'm fully immersed in the Simran, I'm fully immersed in the camp, and you get so immersed into the camp, into the Simran, that you think to yourself, you know what, I could die right here, right now, because, you know what, I'm completely fulfilled. I'm completely satisfied. But just like how Maharaj said in the previous Shabad about the bubbles coming and going, those experiences that we have of oneness come and go constantly as well. And then you'll notice that, you know, when you take Amrit or you start doing something a little bit religious, and then you go back to your family and then you start getting angry or you start, you know, swearing or anything like that, they'll say, oh, why are you swearing for? You're supposed to be a Gyani, mate. Why are you swearing? They'll be like, why are you having a go at me for? You're supposed to be peaceful, mate. Innit? You always get that, innit? But Maharaj is saying here is that those little efforts don't get affected by those things, because that effort that you made to be a little bit religious that day, is going to help you get addicted to Vaheguruji. Yeah? Maharaj says, Milya hoye na vichhara je milya hoy. If just for a second, right, you're connected to Vaheguru, you'll never be separated from them ever again. If you're truly connected, right? But what happens is that when to be connected, you have to make the effort to, you know, do the Simran, do the Seva, meet the Sangat. You have to make that effort first. And then, when you make the effort and you have those experiences, you then start getting a little bit of yearning inside to go back and connect again. Just like any drug addict, alcoholic, you know, the only way they got into that situation is because they tried a little bit of it in their past. And because they tried a little bit of it in the past, they remembered in the future that, oh, hang on, I remember what it felt like to have that drink. Yeah. I remember the experience I had when I had that drink, the people I was around. And then you get addicted to the nasha, you get addicted to the experience. In the same way, Maharaj is saying here, Gurmukh milya subai, har manatan meetha laya Balaram jiyo. Gurmukh milya subai. That Gurmukh, that Sikh, who meets Vaheguruji effortlessly, their whole mind, body, soul, everything, Vaheguruji all becomes sweet to them. And it becomes effortless. But it's only going to become effortless. First, we have to make effort for then the thing to be effortless. And this is why we don't get addicted to that connection straight away, but the more we do it, the more we will get addicted to it. Just like any alcoholic, the more he does it, the more he's going to get addicted to it. The more we do all the good stuff, the seva, the Simran, staying consistent with coming to the talks, coming to Kirtan programs, or whatever it may be, the more we're going to get addicted to Vaheguru as well. But we have to consciously make that effort to not go down the wrong path. Don't go down the wrong sangat, having the wrong conversations. Because it just comes down to what I mentioned earlier. Kaljug is getting stronger and stronger. We might catch up to Kaljug sometime. And then what happens is we just start talking about the wrong things again, and then we go right back down to zero. And that's a constant cycle of what's happening all the time. And even Kabir ji, Bhagat Kabir ji, they say, Kabir kal karanta ab hai kar, ab karta soe tal, pache kachu na hoega, jau sir par aave kal. That death is always breathing down our necks at all times. And the thing that you wanted to do tomorrow, do it today. And the thing that you wanted to do today, do it right now. If you said to yourself, you know what, I wanted to do seva today in the Langar hall, right? Then don't wait till later on. Do it right now. What are you doing here sitting listening to my talk for? I'm just an idiot. If you felt like you need to do seva today, Mahara's saying, go do it right now. Don't even hesitate. Because you don't know if tomorrow you're even going to have enough breaths left in your body. And then it's just too late then, isn't it? And then Maharaj says, Jaise jalate buddha buddha upajaya binase neet. So that's what it said before. Then they move on to say, Jag rachana taise rachi kaho nanak sun meet. And here they're saying that they're calling us their meet, which is beautiful in itself. They're calling us their mittar, their friend, because Maharaj cares for us. And they're telling us that this is what the world is like, pretty much. Telling us that all these things that we're experiencing, the dukh and the sukh, all of it is just going to come and go. Any sukh coming into your life, it's just going to pass. Any dukh that's going to come into your life, it's just going to pass. And every day, just tell yourself those things. It shall pass. It shall pass. And you're going to avoid being hurt in the end. And this is how the world is created. This is what Maharaj is saying here. And then just to end, Maharaj says, Prani kachu na chetai mad maya ke and. Yeah, prani, again, human, with that breath of life inside of them. Kachu, meaning nothing, na chetai. Mad maya ke and. That we're blinded in that intoxication of maya. Yeah? So they are not able to remember Vaheguruji. So because we're intoxicated and we're so engrossed in this maya, in this illusion, we're blinded to Vaheguruji. And you know what, there's such a good example actually. When I was at Medway yesterday, doing a little stall, because I had to talk there, literally, and you know, you would hear loads of people say this, oh, how do I know when there's a program? How do I know what my kids should learn about Sikhi? How do I know this? How am I supposed to know this? Anything like that, And I even said it when I got into Sikhi, I was like, oh, where was basics of Sikhi? I mean, when I needed it, blah, 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 And in that Gurdwara, in the lobby, I had a stall with so many leaflets and a massive banner saying basics of Sikhi, right? And you'll be surprised how some people are just walking past it and not even like having a quick glimpse. Because they're so engrossed in the future, because they're not conscious, because they're not being in the present, and because they're engrossed in this maya, anything like religious or anything to do with Sikhi, they're just blind to it pretty much. Like Maharaj is saying here. Kaho Nanak bin har bhajan, and without meditating, without the bhajan of Vaheguruji, parat, they'll end up tahe jam phand. That if we don't do that meditation, then we're just going to get caught in the noose of death by the jamduts. And when it comes to leaving this physical body, we're just going to get battered by them. Pretty much. And that's why even in Rehra Sahib, Maharaj says, Pai prapat manuk de huriya, gobind milan ki eh teri bariya. that after 8.4 million life forms, we've been blessed to be in this situation we are in now. And people that are watching and the people that are here today, we're even more blessed that we're able in this life and right here, right now, be able to meditate on that name of God, which is Vaheguruji. So just some final thoughts, just to conclude today's talk, is that remind yourself every single day that, you know what, just treat this life like a dream. Don't get engrossed in it. Play the game of life. Play it, but just remember, it's just a dream. Everything you're experiencing is just going to pass one day. It's not worth getting upset. It's not even worth getting too excited either. Just stay present at all times. And all the dukh and sukh, all of it's going to pass. And pretty much if you're stressed out, don't be stressed out. And I'm not going to be able to say this properly because this is the guy that I saw on Instagram, right? He was the perfect example of what I mean by this. And I hope the sound works. If it doesn't, then it's just not going to work then. So it's not going to work, is it? All right. It's on that side. Chalo, koi na nahi. But what he's basically saying is, he's saying, look, we are an internal, infinite being, pretty much. That jyot that's inside of us, we're an infinite being. What's your hurry? What's your rush? We were going into central London the other week. So many people are just rushing, worrying about the past, worrying about the future, and they're not staying present. So anything good that's knocking at your door, how's it going to find you if you're not home, pretty much? If you're wandering around in the past, worrying about the future, and you're not present right here, right now, how's anything that's trying to find you going to get to you? They're going to be like, knock, knock. Who's there? Nobody. Because you're not home. So this is why I wished it played, but I didn't do justice to it. But chalo, that's what we have to always remember. When you're doing that bhajan, of Hari Parameshwar, singing the words of Vaheguruji, always remember, stay conscious, and just stay being the witness to this whole dream taking place. Deo sajjana seesriyan, Jehovah Sahib Sumail. Forgive me for my mistakes. Vaheguruji ka khalsa, Vaheguruji ki fateh. Sangaji, we're only going to do about 10 minutes of Simran. There's no Guru Granth Sahib Ji Prakash, so there's no Sukhasan. So please take the time and meditate on that name, and then we can just go after that. Vaheguruji ka Khalsa, Vaheguruji ki Fateh.
Vaheguruji Sachi Priya, Sachi Priya. हम तुम से जोड़ी हम तुम से जोड़ी सच्ची प्रिय सच्ची प्रिय सच्ची प्रिय हम तुम से जोड़ी हम तुम से जोड़ी तुमसे आवाज संग तोड़ी तुमसे जी तुमसे जोर आवाज संग तोड़ी जह जा तेरी सेवा जह जा ਸਿਓ ਠਾਕੁਰ ਔਰ ਨ ਦੇਵਾ ਸਾਚੀ ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਾਚੀ ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਾਚੀ ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਹਮ ਤੁਮ ਸਿਓ ਸਾਚੀ ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਤੁਮ